My name is Sarah Peacock, and this is my presentation on adaptive and assistive technologies. What are adaptive and assistive technologies? Assistive technology is a tool, or it could even be a software, that will assist a person in carrying out an activity that they wouldn't be able to do by themselves. It will work around and compensate for any type of learning deficit or other disability. An example of this is a wheelchair. A person that is paralyzed from the waist down wouldn't be able to move or get around unless they used a wheelchair. This will allow them to perform the task that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Adaptive technology is a tool that is specifically designed to be used by a person that has some sort of deficit. For example, a person that has a hearing deficit will use a hearing aid because it is specifically designed to enhance hearing. What do these technologies do? They will, like I said, enhance a person's ability to perform a task or completely allow them to do it. They may or may not be able to perform the task without these tools. In classrooms, you will see students with special needs or any other type of disability or illness using these type of technologies. And it will help these students to perform as well as or nearly as well as other students in the classroom that don't need this type of assistance. A great person that used these type of technologies is Stephen Hawking. He was diagnosed with ALS. He experienced slow speech and reduced communication, so he had to use a computer system that would allow him to interact or communicate with those that are around him. He also needed a motorized wheelchair that allowed him to move around. So here's a picture of him in his wheelchair and with his computer. And you can see students in schools that use these types of computers too. If they have, for some reason, they can't speak, they will use these types of computers. Maybe not as technologically advanced, but they will use some sort of similar software or product. And after Stephen Hawking was diagnosed, his symptoms began to progress, and he wasn't able to type on his computer anymore. So as you can see right here, he has a device that was installed on his glasses, and it would detect the movement in his cheeks and communicate that information to the computer, which would then speak the words out loud that he wanted to say. Now, obviously, you won't see stuff as advanced as this in classrooms, but it's just a great example to show you. There are different levels of technology. First, we have low technology. It is non-electronic. Examples of this will be canes or wheelchair ramps, or even just regular wheelchairs. You can obviously see wheelchair ramps at schools or children in wheelchairs even. Next, we have mid-technology. These things are simple to operate. They may or may not be electronic, and examples of these are hearing aids and calculators. Lastly, we have high-tech, which requires a large amount of training in order to operate, and they are strictly electronic. Examples of these are electric wheelchairs, just like what Stephen Hawking had. And then you also have eye recognition software, which will detect your eye movement and spell out the words on your computer screen for you. Types of adaptive and assistive technologies: you have sensory equipment, such as hearing aids and cochlear implants. As I said before, hearing aids enhance a person's hearing, and these implants are for people that are deaf in either one ear or both ears, and they get these implants and they allow them to hear. In classrooms, you can often see frequency modulation systems, which will amplify what the teacher says. Essentially, the teacher wears a microphone and it is transmitted through a speaker to where students can hear that over all of the extra noise. It allows them to focus strictly on what the teacher is saying and to block out all other unnecessary noise. Other examples are math, reading, writing, and organization. You'll see all the following examples in classrooms. Alternative keyboards is a type of customizable keyboard. You can change the layout and get rid of whatever the students don't need, whatever keys they don't need. That way they can focus strictly on the letters and numbers that they do need. It will narrow their focus and reduce their distraction. We also have electronic math worksheets. This is great for students that have trouble keeping things in line or organized. It will organize their work for them, keep everything in order. That way they can focus on their work and not worry about trying to find everything on the paper. We have optical character recognition, or OCR. What this is, it's a software that will scan words on paper and read them aloud. This is great for students that have trouble reading or comprehending written word, and they do better when they hear it. It's also great for dyslexic children because they can't read well, and they will do much better if they hear the material. Word prediction programs. It's just like on our phones when the words pop up of what they think we're going to say next. Stephen Hawking actually used this on his computer. He would start typing and it would pop up words, and if it was the word that he wanted next, he would click on it instead of typing it out. It's great to reduce time, and it'll allow students in the classrooms to work faster if they have to use these types of technology. We also have sensory rooms, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide. Sensory rooms, it's a place that helps a child to focus and develop their sense. In a classroom, you won't necessarily have a whole room, but you might have a sensory area where the child can go. It acts as a type of therapy for children that have limited communication skills. It's especially great for children with autism. It is meant to feel as a safe space, be therapeutic, a place where the child can go and recover, or if they have had some sort of incident, they can go and just relax and de-escalate. I actually have a website that I'm going to take you to right here, and it's a list of items that would be great to be in a sensory room. These first three items have to do with lights. We have a projector. It is not uncommon to have a sensory room that has white or cream walls, so this projector is great because you can do any kind of effect or color on the wall that you want. These next two are just lights that the children can look at and play with that will stimulate their senses and allow them to focus and calm down. The next three items are more active items. We have a swing, a tunnel, and a rocking raft. This will be great for children that have extra energy and can't focus. You can let them play on this for a while just to get that extra energy out and then bring them back to their work, and they will be able to focus better. The next three we have are the squeezer, a cloud chair, and a swing. These are all compression items. Children with autism find compression soothing sometimes, so these would be great for them if they're having sensory issues or any kind of anxiety. They can choose whichever one they want, whichever will make them feel more comfortable, and you can see if it'll calm them down, which typically it will. And lastly, we have crash mats, which are essentially like gym mats. The children can play and do whatever they want, and it will keep them from hurting themselves because the mats are padded. Here's a picture of a sensory room with different patterns on the walls and the floor and all different kinds of colors. And then we also have one that's not as colorful, but it has more physical objects that the kids can play with and touch. So why should these technologies be used in classrooms? Not only do they benefit the students, as I mentioned before, but they benefit the teachers. If the student is having trouble with a disability and these types of technologies help them and get them on the same level as students that don't have the disabilities, that's great for the student and for the teacher, because the student feels equal and doesn't feel bad about themselves because they're behind. And the teacher doesn't have to worry about the student falling behind, or she doesn't have to worry about neglecting her other students because she's specifically focused on the student with the disability. Like I said before, it'll increase their success and learning in the classroom if they use these technologies. It will boost their confidence and level the playing field. It helps them to achieve their highest possible level. And I actually have a YouTube video here about a girl that used these types of technologies in her classroom, and she talked about how it affected her.
Chloe is a student. This is my second year with her. She is dyslexic, very bright, and has a lot of higher order thinking. That was very obvious, but we had to try to figure out a way for her to get her work into a format that it could be graded and that you could see what she was thinking. So we this year started experimenting with different apps, and she's now using Voice Dream Writer, Smartforms, Voice Dream Reader. She's back in general ed for English.
I like it because it talks back to me when I mess up words, like instead of saying delicious, if I get my B backwards, I'll say delicious. I can go back and fix it.
The lending library is wonderful. I've tried many things through the years, and it's always nice to be able to borrow something, collect data, and decide if it's actually going to help. We're getting ready to actually conference on Chloe and add ICAM to her IEP. But all of the apps that she is using, I found out about through the Patents Conference in the fall.
I got out of LD classes and into regular classes because of it. In the future, I hope I can get out of all LD classes. I have a more fair advantage than I did earlier.
It's kind of leveled the playing field for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy has visited, and she is wonderful. She's so good at working with the students one-on-one, just has an easiness with them. With Chloe, it was, I think, invaluable because Chloe opened up to her right away and started telling her about just the issues that she has with being in the gen ed classroom. And Sandy was able to make suggestions and spend time, and then today do a follow-up visit.
So as you can see in that video, these types of technologies helped out this student, and she went from being in a learning disability classroom to a general education classroom with all of the other students simply because of the use of these technologies. So teachers should really consider checking them out and using them if they need to, because they really help and enhance the learning of students that have issues in the classroom or are having trouble. Here is my reflection. And here is my bibliography. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your time.